Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Malifaux and Game 1 of the April Faux Day tournament, run out of South London by, I think, the guys of the South London Legion. And this is my first ranked tournament, so I'm pretty excited. I did do a Henchman Hardcore way back when I first started Malifaux. In fact, I think those were the first actual games against real actual opponents that weren't my friends that I bullied into giving me practice games with pieces of paper, and in which I believe I came last. So the goal for this tournament is to win one game. Seems like a reasonable target to me. The format of this tournament is 4 rounds, 1 day. For the first 2 rounds, I believe the opponents are drawn up at random, and then by the second 2 rounds, players are matched by their tournament points, score differentials, and then VP. 4-round tournaments apparently allow TOs to rank players and distinguish winners much more clearly, and that is obviously a good thing, but I've never played more than 2 games in a row, and I'm pretty much done by the second game, normally. So I think this is going to be a pretty grueling day, and my knees are crying already. The event is fixed faction, but you can change up the masters as you wish. I've declared Reses, and I'm going to be soloing McMourning for the event. I've only played 4 games with him prior to this, but he's definitely my strongest master, and I've been gelling pretty well with him so far. Would be nice to have get some Yanlo games in, but I'm honestly just not that good with him, and he's much more complex to use, and my poor brain is going to be tired enough as it is. So McMourning all the way. Let's get into the first game. So the strat and scheme pools are only announced as we get to the table, which is fantastic. I really like this way of doing things. I've begun to hate knowing the objectives beforehand, because it means I have to try to restrain myself from going over them again and again and thinking, oh, this option, or maybe this option, or maybe that's what I'll do. And I'm very weak-willed when it comes to that kind of thing. So this is great, and I love this format. So for my first match, I'm facing off against 10 Thunder's Jacob Lynch. And this is also my opponent's first tournament. We wish each other luck and get down to it. We define terrain as impassable, blocking hardcover houses and shit. Forests as normal. Height 3 or 4, blocking hardcover. Soft cover, height probably 2. Height 1, climbable. I think we said they were hardcover in this game. And this applies to all the games I'm going to do. It's quite possible I forget or misremember something, and I apologise to my opponents if I do. But seriously, remembering my own name by the end of this was getting a bit dicey, so bear with me. And to get things off to a good start, I'm not entirely sure who won deployment. I think my opponent ended up setting up first. And he has got, as stitched together, Mr. Graves. The Hungering Darkness with Recall Training, Jacob Lynch. With Woke Up With a Hand, The Endless Hunger, and Wanna See a Trick. An Illuminated, a second Illuminated is around here somewhere. A Stitched Together, The Shadow Effigy, and a Depleted. And to the fray, I'm ringing Vicarian Emissary with Conflux of Forbidden Knowledge. The Zombie Chiwawa who's just tucked under his wing. Rafkin, or the Rowan Nilsson ult, with My Little Helper. Sebastian, with Those Are Not Ours. That is a fantastic upgrade, and I love it. A Rotten Bell, a Nurse, McMourning, with Moonlighting, Plastic Surgery, and Decaying Aura, because I am about as original as toast. And finally, Chiaki the Niece. So what's my plan? Well, I was a bit thrown out by the fact we were playing Squatters' Rights. Totally forgot that this could come up in a Gaining Grounds 2017. Have not played this one in a while, and I totally forget. You might notice during this game that the centre marker is actually a squat marker. Good start. My aim for this game is going to be pretty simple. I'm going to hit the centre with pretty much all of my crew and just ask the question, who's the biggest badass? Because I reckon it's McMourning. Lynch and Huggy do a lot of damage, but I don't think either of them can kill him in a single activation, and he can kill them in a single activation. And I've got the Nurse and Chiaki to back me up and keep the Doctor healthy. So by moving into the centre, I'll be contesting and taking these markers. If he wants to meet me in the centre, I think I win, eventually through attrition. But it does mean that Lynch has to go down, so there's my scheme. I'm going to eliminate the leadership. As I'm going to be doing killing anyway, I reckon I'm going to dig their graves. So that way I can score all my points in one area of the board. If he's chosen something like claim jump or inspection, he'll have to split out his guys in some way, which will help me by allowing me to be more dominant, leverage more of my points on less of his. He might score a couple of points, but in the late game I can then shift over to one side or the other and block those off. Bell is obviously here to lure his models out so I can kill them or lure them off markers, so I can grab them, etc. Sebastian's going to hang around the back and just make things die from poison. I want Chiaki to be making his things insignificant so they can't interact with the squatters markers or drop scheme markers, but the amount of casting he's got is quite scary. I have a very healthy respect for what those stitched can do. So I want to keep her around McMourning for that condition removal healing, but also if I can, just send her off around here and make a nuisance of herself if I get the opportunity. Chiwawa's going to partner with Nilsson. Chiwawa goes in, makes everything poisoned, and Nilsson is going to clean up the rest with that disgusting 4-attack turn. The Carrion's going to quickly push over to this side, dropping its marker so I can start getting my dog summoning engine going, and then hopefully claim this one and push around into the centre to help me out by mid-game. Let's see how we do. By the end of turn 1, things look like this. I wasted some early activations with the nurse hitting McMourning up for poison and moving up a little bit so she'd be more helpful later. Sebastian just dinking over, going defensive and getting into a position where he can get line of sight and be within 6 inches of where zombies might appear. Jacob Lynch has sent some guys out wide. The Shadow put the remember the mission thing on the depleted, so he's got a scheme marker down. Could be a claim jump. And a Stitch just managed to get into position to secure this squatters marker next turn. I decided to risk things by moving Chiaki up, just taking a snapshot at the Stitched. I don't think I hit with her calling attack, and then just got her behind cover out of line of sight of the Stitched over here. She's still quite central, so she can get back and help out McMourning if he gets really in trouble, or she can nip out, try to insignificant something next turn, and then nip back. So I'm happy with that position. One of the Illuminated had made its way up over here, so I move out my Bell and snag it with a lure, bringing it to over around this area. The Stitched comes up and gambles with the Bell, doing 3 or 4 damage. And these little black markers, by the way, are the Creepy Fog. I think Graves throws the Hungering Darkness over here and walks back to Lynch. The Chiwawa runs up using its extra movement from the Emissary, so this has been really good. Farts on the Illuminated for poison. This allows Rafkin to make a 1 AP charge. I ended up cheating quite a lot of Terrifying Jewels this game, actually. I think I flipped really badly for them. But she does the Illuminated quite hard, putting it on more poison than its remaining wounds. Another Illuminated's coming up over here to, help its fellow out. I move my bird over here, I think, drop the markers so that Sebastian will get a zombie and I'll be able to sort out that Stitch and engage it up next turn. He then moves over to the marker, ready to snag that, but Hungering Darkness isn't having it, and uses Heed My Voice to make him fly away again. Curses. Final movements were McMourning coming up over here, pushing up with his poison, expunge the Illuminated for a flesh construct, walk up, flip the squat marker, drop a scheme marker, and then at the end of the turn he poison pushes back over here. Before he got the push, however, Lynch came up and did a little bit of damage on him, which I stoned to prevent, some of anyway. And that's McMourning turning his back on Lynch and the Flesh Construct, forgetting to make its activation and, not standing in base contact with the squat marker that I completely forgot about. Ooh, speaking of forgetting about things, this terrain piece we decided was going to be hazardous terrain. When I say we, I like to ask my opponents before the game if we can have a piece of hazardous terrain, as I find it makes things interesting. I don't think it ever mattered in this game. Turn 2, I lose initiative and pop my little helper on Rafkin. This Illuminated moves up. It can't, it's getting within 3 inches of Rafkin and shoots her, doing some damage. The Chiwawa then moves up and poisons Lynch. I gum up the Stitched with my Flesh Construct. And then as soon as I can, I spring into action with Rafkin. She walks around over here, outside of this guy's engagement, charges for a 1 action against Lynch, and does 4 attacks. And I think only hits once, but does some poison. Graves comes in to try to beat her off, and does some damage, I think. She's quite damaged now. But McMourning goes in for the kill. My hand was really quite good this turn. McMourning poison pushes, walks into position to see Lynch, and has to pass his horror test from the Illuminated. Unstoppable Rancid Transplant for 2, 4, 6, 8 poison. And then a brutal Unpreventable Expunge brings Lynch down, scores me my 3 VP, and gets me a Flesh Construct. Pretty happy with that. I then hit the Illuminated, do it some damage, give it some poison, get my wounds back up, and then at the end of the turn you can see he's poison pushed over here. This Stitched in the Shadow are trying to take down my Flesh Construct, who's just bearing with it. This Stitched very rudely goes after McMourning. Oh no wait, he didn't. He had killed the bell earlier. And now the nurse is on the squat marker just protecting it. Huggy's got onto this squat marker, flipped it, and then pushed my Carrion Emissary back again, or moved him around in some way. Oh that's it, he flew him over here. Sebastian summoned a dog, and got round here, the Carrion Emissary went, and then used his 0 action for the fog to put poison on Huggy, and then is just rotten rending away. And a casting attack with minimum damage 3 is a good way of hurting Huggy. And I like this matchup, especially now Lynch is down and Huggy doesn't have casting expert and terrifying all. Finally, Chiaki and the Depleted get into a pathetic tar pit, and the only VP scored has been for eliminating Lynch. We go into turn 3, and the name of the game is Keep McMourning Alive. This Stitch Together starts things off by doing some respectable damage, not as much as he'd hoped, I'm sure. And all my soul stones are now dedicated for prevention of McMourning. McMourning goes, kills the Illuminated, getting me dig the graves, heals up a bit, gets over here and uses injection to make the Flesh Construct drop a scheme marker. Graves kills Rafkin, throwing her towards the centre and fence posting her to death. Carrion takes down Huggy, and I've got the dog up here to try to get that squat marker next turn. Stitched over here escapes my Flesh Construct that was previously Lynch, goes for McMourning, slams itself for a full 7 damage and gets reactivate, and I charge it with the Flesh Construct and bring it down. Chiaki fails to get away from the Depleted, and Sebastian runs hell for leather towards the centre. Again, the Carrion Emissary's extra walk is just so useful. And at the end of the turn, I think the only point scored is my dig their graves. And finally, by the end of turn 4, this is how the board looks. The dog's taken this squat marker, I've held onto this one, I killed everything around here, got some more Flesh Constructs, scored dig their graves, and claimed this marker. McMourning's run away from Lynch all the way over here, who's valiantly chucking my my Flesh Constructs around trying to catch up, but he can't quite do it, and time is called at this point, and so the game ends here. In the final scores, the Ten Thunder scored 0 for Squatters' Rights, 0s for Dig Their Graves, and 0 for Eliminate the Leadership. The Resurrectionists managed to score a mighty 1 point for Squatters' Rights. Seriously, I'm so dumb. I should have had this middle marker from turn 2. Jeez. 2 points for Dig Their Graves, and 3 points for Eliminate the Leadership, making this game 6-0 to the Resurrectionists. Really fun game, and my MVP has got to be the Chiwawa. It just set up my poison stepping stones so nicely. Rafkin's attacks were a little bit disappointing this game, but it's going to happen. But she did what she needed to, and my little helper on her is just dirty. You can really go up aggressive on the first turn, get into a really threatening position, and then people struggle to do anything about it. They have to come in close into McMourning's death range, or else just try to ignore that part of the board she's holding down. Really good, really like that. So yeah, a win for my first game, a decent points differential, and I've already hit my tournament target, so can't complain at all about that. My opponent was a really charming guy, and I look forward to playing him again, as I'm sure Lynch will want his vengeance. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll catch you on the next one.